подобається. Мені здається, порядок всередині грає. Сідайте, де вам комфортніше. Дуже приємно, ми тільки телефоном говорили.
Шановні гості, шановні журналісти, будемо розпочинати наступний брифінг. І зараз будемо говорити на тему «Спитай жінку. Нова база даних».
We will be discussing the topic Ask a Woman. Our participants are Olena Yena, Director of Women Leaders, Kateryna Ivanova, Regional Press Development Institute Program Manager, Iryna Slavinska, Project Coordinator, and Viktoriya Podgorna, Director at the International Institute of Strategic Policy. Briefly, we are all here because in September this year, the project Ask a Woman was launched. That is the new women's expert database. In the beginning, I would like to give the floor to Olena Yena. Thank you, Iryna. Thank you all who are interested in that topic. The project to set up the database is directed towards enhancing the level of political participation of women in decision making, because the fact that there are fewer that women are not represented, are underrepresented in the authorities of Ukraine, affects the situation we have in the country. And our project is to work on gender balance of Ukrainian authorities. The problem of uneven representation of women in media space compared to men, and my colleagues will be talking about that. This problem is also interrelated with the fact that women being invisible, those women who are not experts, the women who do not take a proper place and role in media space is not right. It would be right if the advice and strategy is submitted by men and women. And this program, Ask a Woman, is about that. The key elements of our strategy are directed towards minimizing the gender stereotypes, which unfortunately we still have in Ukrainian society. I hope that this very interesting, innovative instrument will help journalists to fight against that problem.
Розумних жінок в Україні дуже.
And we have many talented and wise women in Ukraine. I believe that the efforts of many stakeholders should be united and should be directed towards fighting gender stereotypes, which we have so many, and which are being transformed. The situation which we have in Ukraine leads to new opportunities for women, and women have already proven that they can execute different functions just like men. And we wouldn't like these situations not to help us change the situation. Our project is directed towards that as well, so that there are fewer stereotypes left. And also the balanced presence of men and women in decision-making in authorities is a sustainable European practice. The countries where the state decisions are made by both men and women, in such countries, the level of trust of citizens to the authorities is higher compared to the countries where the representation of men and women is not even. I would like to give the floor to Kateryna Ivanova, the program manager. I would like to tell about the campaign that we started in 2013. That is the campaign called Respect. It was initiated as the instrument of identification of sexism and the fighting with it. We were trying to explain to our readers what sexism is, to demonstrate it by statements of some public figures or some sexist statements in media. And our project has shown that unfortunately Ukrainian society does not correctly identify sexism. They do not differentiate between the compliment and sexism. Even women politicians who we addressed, we talked to them, we interviewed them, we were trying to understand how they are fighting with sexism. Even they do not really identify it and they do not know how to resist it. But still we understand that the work we are doing is something needed. We noticed that we have fewer sexist statements in media space. We do not think that it's just because of our campaign, but we believe that after Euromaidan, our society had a very painful lesson. That was the lesson of respecting each other. Talking about sexism, these are not just some statements of a specific person, but that's the stereotype perception of women as less professional. If we look at how media cover women, we will be not happy with the results. There was a monitoring made on how evenly men and women are represented in media, and we see that 30% and 30% of publications, photographs, we see women as main characters of materials or as experts. Mass media show women as mothers, as teachers, as artists, the specialists in fashion, and practically never as an economist, as a political scientist, and so on. And we have a very distorted image of a woman who does not care about the problems in the country. She thinks about beauty, fashion, and harmony in the world. In order to change this situation, we want to have more women in mass media, and we want women in mass media to play the role of experts. There are many smart, intelligent women who are not seen by our media space. For that, we developed a database which is called Ask a Woman, which has contacts of different experts in different sectors. Iryna will tell more about this database. Thank you, but before I start describing the database, I would like to give the floor to one of the experts who is included into the database. And I'm happy to give the floor to Viktoriya Podgorna, Director of the International Institute of Strategic Policy.
I work in this sphere for a long time, gender equality, and starting from 1990s. We had some progress, and it's very nice to have such a program now to form leadership of women in Ukraine, because we don't have much changes starting from 1990s. And we should look at the Ukrainian government, and we will see that there are more foreigners than women. It's not a good signal to us. And this database allows us to show professional women, and these women can become politicians and of different to solve different issues. They can represent themselves in different spheres. I'm a consultant, and I see that women who get into politics or media, they work in some sphere, and they communicate marketing and all the strategic issues connected with finance. For example, like Ms. Yarieska, who solve economic issues. But in these years, there are many women in these spheres, and in modern world, this is not a normal situation, because women have potential for development, and I think that reforms, we can't imagine reforms without women. What I want to say is that I work with the issues of the development of politics, and I have a large experience and worked in many political parties, and women strategists are lacking, and the sphere is hard to reach for women. And we should break through stereotypes that exist not only from the side of men, but also from the side of women. And women are active in Ukraine, but they are not included in strategic issues. I want to point out the phenomena that was in Ukraine during Maidan and the Russian aggression. Women are true partners of men in volunteer activities. Wonderful women volunteers work, and they are a real hero in volunteer activities and in the frontline area. And of course, they break through media, and they pay their attention to these media, but this is not enough. They should show that this is an equal partnership that we have now, and women deserve attention, and they are the locomotive of changes, and women are more they can create cooperation and partnership that is the guarantee of changes and prosperity of Ukraine. And now I take the floor. I'm Iryna Slavinska, and I have an honor to coordinate the project Ask a Woman, and I'm very fascinated by this project and the experience of this program. This project exists more than a year, and campaign showed and monitoring showed that it's time to go offline and to create cooperation with society, not only through the site, but the joint initiatives and partnerships. And if you look at the situation that now in the media of Ukraine, we can see that there's a metaphoric parade of costumes. Less than 30% of publications in Ukrainian media are dedicated to women, and if you are speaking about the recent research of the Mass Media Information Institute, the paradox is that after Euromaidan, the percentage of women represented in the media reduced, and women became, they adopted new roles, but printed media and magazines, the media are not ready to represent the women and represent what happens in the country. And here we see the inertia, and they can provide the means to represent situation properly. And we should join, and at the Pavaga site you can look look these materials through the site, and on the banner you can see the address, and there we created a button of a database. You can roll it down. So there's a banner, ask a woman, and add an expert. And if you push the button, so there's a Google form where we can join the action and propose our expert to the base. Why do we need this? We can, and I as a journalist and my colleagues have an opportunity to have more names in this list, women that work in different spheres. And the work of this database and this initiative it is connected not only with the topic of equality, gender equality, but also the issues of national request for new faces. This database, Ask a Woman, provide us with opportunity to meet them. And any of you from the media or experts, you can find an application on Google form, and you can propose your expert to this database. And there's also information about personal contacts, and this information now is not public. All the data will be verified, and all the experts that get into this database, they will be included after because there's a law on personal information. That's why only those who want to join will join. And then this database is working, and this database will provide data, and there will be a button, and people they won't get personal information. We will protect personal data. And the database and our colleagues started to work with this database. They are from different organizations. There's more than 1,500 experts that were proposed to the database, and we see a large field of expertise, the anti-corruption expertise, ecological issues, media, legal, state regulations, sports, logistics, transport, architecture, building, fuel sector, forming of local budgets, and so on and so forth. And they're traditional for Ukrainian media, such experts such as culture, education, fashion. Of course, we provide experts of different sphere, and this represents all the wealth of Ukrainian experts that can provide information about anything, in any sphere.
So the database Ask a Woman is open, and this briefing is the invitation to participate. We now are collecting information. Suggest the experts, suggest yourselves as experts, and together we will be able to do more. We will start basically suggest to Ukrainian editors to show new faces. Questions? Thank you for the presentation. I'm Iryna Troyan. I'm the student of Kyiv Mohyla Academy, and I'm also an expert in gender studies. In the morning I was trying to add one expert. When I informed her about that initiative, she said that she's interested, but we're interested in how that distribution will continue, which will there be some selection, will there be free access to this database? Thank you for the question, that's important. On the website, povaha.org.ua, where there is a button, add an expert, there will be a button which will allow to use the database. And the principal task of the project is that the project is open. Anyone can use this database. It will not be accessible to some editorial offices. Anyone who goes to the website Povaha will be able to see this database. We will present different regions of Ukraine, and this will not be a closed thing. Students, not just journalists, anyone will be able to use that. Do I understand it correctly? For example, there is an expert and the journalist addresses her. That's her right to agree to cooperate or not. First, the person will give, we will contact the people who are suggested, and we will ask whether they agree to be part of the database. For example, I can recommend an expert who I contacted before. That's the first stage, and then there's no, it's like no commitment. If the expert doesn't want to contact the mass media, I don't think that we will be able to force. Any other questions? If not, then when are you planning to open the database?
Кончик.
Зараз ми працюємо над
We're working on receiving on getting the agreement to process personal data. The first part will be open from the new year. How many do you already have? 150? I believe the number will grow because we were collecting that when we were just addressing expert community, but now we have this public button, add an expert on the website, and we believe that the number will grow fast. Thank you. Great initiative, and in Ukrainian Crisis Media Center will be happy to add experts. Our next briefing is at 12.